The same sister who cried on my wedding day and called me her best friend was secretly sleeping with my husband for over a year, and everyone in the family knew except me. I found out about my husband and my sister on a Tuesday afternoon while folding his laundry, and the worst part wasn't even finding her underwear in his gym bag. It was recognizing the Victoria's Secret set I'd bought her for her birthday 3 months ago, the one she'd hugged me for and said only I knew her taste so perfectly. That hug plays on repeat in my mind now, her arms around my neck, whispering "love you, sis," while she was probably counting down the hours until she could wear that lingerie for my husband. The underwear was tucked inside his boxing gloves like he'd hidden it in a rush. Black lace with little pink bows. Size small. I wear medium. I stood there holding it for maybe 5 minutes, my brain trying to construct any explanation that wasn't the obvious one. Maybe it got mixed up at the gym. Maybe it belonged to someone else entirely. Maybe I was losing my mind. But I knew. God, I knew. The same way you know you're about to throw up, that sick certainty flooding through your body. I called him first. Voice steady, almost casual. "Hey, quick question. Found some women's underwear in your gym bag. Any idea how it got there?" The silence lasted 3 seconds. 3 seconds that told me everything. Then he laughed, this forced, hollow sound. "That's weird. Must be from the laundromat mix-up last week. But we don't use a laundromat. We have a washer and dryer. We've had them for 6 years." Then I called my sister Emma. She answered on the second ring, breathless like she'd been running. Or doing something else physical. "Hey. Was just thinking about you." Her voice was so bright, so normal. I asked her about the underwear set I'd bought her, if she still liked it. "Oh my God, yes. It's my favorite. I save it for special occasions." I asked her what kind of special occasions. Another pause. "You know, just when I want to feel pretty." I drove to her apartment with the underwear in a Ziploc bag like evidence at a crime scene. She opened the door in yoga pants and my husband's college hoodie. His fraternity letters across her chest. She saw the bag in my hand and her face did this collapse in slow motion. "Liz, I can explain." But she couldn't. She just stood there crying while I walked past her into her bedroom. The sheets were the ones I'd helped her pick out at Target. There was a phone charger on the nightstand that wasn't hers. Men's deodorant in her bathroom. A bottle of his cologne on her dresser. "How long?" was all I managed to ask. She said 1 year and 2 months. 1 year and 2 months. I calculated backwards. That meant it started 3 weeks before our son's 5th birthday party. The one where she helped me decorate and took all those photos of us as a family. The one where she made a toast about how lucky my husband was to have me. The one where she stayed late to help clean up and probably him in our garage while I put our kids to bed. I up in her kitchen sink. She tried to hold my hair back and I shoved her so hard she fell into the refrigerator. "Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again." I left her crying on her kitchen floor and drove home to confront the man I'd spent 12 years building a life with. 12 years of inside jokes and shared dreams and 2 kids who looked just like him. 12 years of believing I was loved. He was already packing when I got home. He'd left work early. She must have called him. Our 8-year-old daughter Mia was at school. Our 6-year-old son Jake was at my mom's house. The house was quiet except for the sound of drawers opening and closing in our bedroom. I found him shoving socks into a duffel bag, not even folding them. "We need to talk," he said without looking at me. "I know," I replied. "But first, tell me who else knows." That's when the second wave hit. The drowning truth that makes you understand why they call it heartbreak, because you literally feel your heart breaking, cracking like ice under pressure. "Your mom knows," he said quietly. "And your dad. And Tommy." Tommy was my brother. My younger brother who'd been acting weird at Sunday dinners for months. And Rachel. My cousin. My bridesmaid. And probably Mike and Karen. Our best friends. The ones we vacationed with every summer. "How?" The word came out like a whimper. He finally looked at me then, and I saw something in his eyes that looked almost like pity. "Emma told your mom months ago. Asked for advice. Your mom told your dad. Word spread. My mother. My own mother knew my sister was sleeping with my husband and chose to keep having family dinners where we all sat around the same table passing dishes and pretending everything was normal. Christmas. Easter. My birthday dinner where they all sang to me while knowing. They all knew. The Thanksgiving," I said, remembering suddenly. "When Emma cried during Grace and said she was thankful for family who loved unconditionally. That was about you too?" He nodded. I thought about that moment, how I'd reached over and squeezed her hand, thinking she was emotional about being single during the holidays. How my mom had smiled at us. How my dad had cleared his throat and changed the subject. They all knew I was a fool at my own table. "Why her?" I asked, even though I didn't want to know. Why my sister? He sat on the bed, our bed, where we'd conceived our children and spent lazy Sunday mornings and thought about things that didn't matter. It just happened, he said, like that explained anything. We didn't mean for it to go this far. This far. Like there was an acceptable distance for betrayal. Like there was a measurement for how much lying was too much. You let me buy her lingerie for her birthday. To wear for you. My voice was rising. You listened to me worry about her being single. You watched me invite her to everything because I didn't want her to feel alone. You had with her and then came home and had with me. He flinched. It wasn't like that. But it was exactly like that. I checked our shared calendar. Counted the date nights, the late work meetings, the gym sessions. Overlapped them with the times Emma had been busy, had cancelled plans, had seemed distant. The pattern was so obvious in hindsight I wanted to scream at my past self for being so blind. The kids, I said. You let her babysit our kids while you two were. I couldn't finish. She'd been in our house, playing with our children, reading them bedtime stories, all while sleeping with their father. Jake called her his favorite aunt. Mia had asked if she could be like Aunt Emma when she grew up. Last month, she taught Mia how to braid hair, their heads bent together at our kitchen table while I made dinner and Marcus read the news on his iPad, all of us playing house in a home that was already destroyed. The thing about finding out everyone knew is that it rewrites your entire history. Every memory becomes tainted. Every photo feels like evidence of your humiliation. My dad teaching Jake to ride a bike while knowing. My mom helping me plan our anniversary party while knowing. Tommy making jokes about Marcus being whipped while knowing Marcus was cheating. Rachel asking if everything was okay in my marriage while knowing exactly what was wrong. They all watched me live in ignorance and said nothing. I called my mom that night after Marcus left for a hotel. How could you? Was all I said when she answered. She started crying immediately. I wanted to tell you, but Emma begged me not to. She said they were ending it. She said she would tell you herself when the time was right. The time was never right. The time was before it started. The time was before my sister decided my husband was worth more than I was. The divorce papers were served 3 weeks later, but by then I'd already lost everything that mattered. Mia had started having nightmares, waking up screaming for Daddy and Aunt Emma, not understanding why they both disappeared at the same time. Jake stopped eating, just pushed food around his plate with the same confused expression, asking when Aunt Emma was coming to play dinosaurs. Try explaining to a 6-year-old why his favorite aunt is never coming back without explaining that she destroyed your family. Try maintaining any dignity when your 8-year-old finds you sobbing on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. and asks if Daddy left because you weren't pretty enough. The family took sides, but not the way you'd expect. My mother tried to play peacekeeper, suggesting family therapy, saying things like Emma is still your sister and forgiveness is healing. My father, the man who walked me down the aisle and cried during the father-daughter dance, told me I needed to consider Marcus's happiness too. As if I hadn't spent 12 years considering it. As if I hadn't given up my career advancement to move for his job, hadn't spent countless nights alone with sick kids while he traveled, hadn't forgiven the emotional distance, the lack of appreciation, the way he'd stopped really seeing me years ago. Tommy, my traitor brother, had the audacity to say, "Look, Liz, you and Marcus weren't happy. Everyone could see it. But that's marriage sometimes. You have rough patches. You have years where you're more roommates than lovers. You work through it. You don't solve it by sleeping with your wife's sister. And you definitely don't solve it by letting the whole family watch the betrayed spouse play the fool for over a year." The custody battle was brutal. Marcus hired a shark lawyer who painted me as unstable, citing the incident where I'd pushed Emma, the time I'd thrown his clothes on the lawn, the week I'd kept the kids home from school because I couldn't stop crying long enough to drive them. Emma wrote a character statement for him. My own sister testified that I was struggling emotionally and that the children would be more stable with Marcus. She sat in that courtroom, 3 feet from me, and told a judge that the man she'd helped me marry, the man whose children I'd carried and birthed and raised, would be a better parent without me. I got every other weekend and Wednesdays. That's it. 4 days a month with the babies I'd nursed through fevers and taught to walk and read to every single night. Marcus got them enrolled in a new school closer to his apartment. The apartment he shared with Emma now? They didn't even wait for the divorce to be final. She moved in with him and my children, sleeping in a bed my kids could hear from their rooms, making breakfast in a kitchen where my daughter sat, playing stepmother to children who used to call her aunt. The first time I had to drop them off at Marcus and Emma's apartment, Mia refused to get out of the car. "I don't want to live with Aunt Emma," she cried. "Why can't you come too?" Jake was already adjusting, the resilience of children being both a blessing and a curse. He ran to Emma when she opened the door, letting her lift him up, his little arms around her neck. The same neck I wanted to wrap my hands around. She couldn't look at me. Marcus stood behind her, his hand on her lower back, protective. Like I was the threat. Like I was the one who'd destroyed everything. Please, I said to them both. Please don't confuse them more than necessary. Don't. I wanted to say don't erase me, don't replace me, don't make them call her mom. But Emma was already carrying Jake inside, and Marcus was already closing the door, and Mia was clinging to my hand saying I want to stay with you until Marcus picked her up and she went limp, defeated in a way no 8-year-old should be. The weekends without them were. The house echoed. Their rooms stayed exactly as they'd left them, beds unmade, toys mid-play. I'd sit in Jake's room sometimes, holding his stuffed T-Rex, the one he slept with every night, except now he had a new one at Daddy's house because Emma bought him everything new. New clothes that fit better than the ones I'd bought. New toys that were cooler. New rituals that didn't include me. She was buying my children's love with my husband's money and there was nothing I could do about it. Social media became my own personal. Mutual friends posted photos from barbecues I wasn't invited to anymore, Marcus and Emma in the background like a normal couple. My cousin Rachel posted about family game night with photos of my children laughing at someone's joke, Emma's hand on Mia's shoulder, Marcus teaching Jake chess. The chess set I'd bought him for Christmas. They were living my life without me in it, and everyone seemed fine with it. Better than fine. They looked happy. The worst part was the gaslighting from my own family. You need to move on, my mother said during one of her forced visits. For the children's sake. Like I was the one making things difficult. Emma made a mistake, but she loves those kids, she added, like that justified anything. And she loves Marcus. Sometimes you can't control who you fall in love with. But you can control whether you act on it. You can control whether you pursue your sister's husband. You can control whether you lie for over a year. I lost most of our friend group. The couples we'd spent years building relationships with sided with Marcus and Emma because they were a couple now, and I was just the bitter ex-wife. Karen, who'd been my maid of honor, told me I was making things awkward for everyone by not being able to be civil about the situation. Civil. Like there was a polite way to handle your sister stealing your family. Mike said Marcus seemed happier now, like that was supposed to make me feel better. Like my husband's happiness was worth my devastation. Even my therapist seemed to think I should focus on moving forward rather than dwelling on the betrayal. But how do you move forward when your former life is still happening without you? When your children come home talking about Aunt Emma's pancakes being better than yours. When your daughter asks why you don't come to her soccer games anymore, not understanding that you're not allowed to when it's not your weekend. When your son stops calling you at bedtime because Emma reads him stories now. I started drinking. Not socially, not wine with dinner, but the kind of drinking where you wake up on the couch at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, still in yesterday's clothes, with 17 missed calls from your lawyer. The kind where you show up to pick up your kids smelling like and Marcus documents it for court. The kind where your 8-year-old daughter has to help you to bed and asks if you're sick like grandma was before she went to heaven. The kind that gives your ex-husband and your sister more ammunition to prove you're an unfit mother. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, they announced their engagement on Facebook. The ring was bigger than the one he'd given me. The proposal was more elaborate, a trip to Paris, the city I'd always wanted to visit but we could never afford because of the kids' college funds. The comments poured in. Hearts and congratulations, and you two are perfect together, and love wins like this with some romantic comedy instead of my nightmare. My own mother commented a heart emoji. A heart emoji on the engagement announcement of the man who destroyed me with the sister who helped him do it. 2 years have passed since that Tuesday with the laundry, and I'm a ghost in my own children's lives. Emma is pregnant now, 7 months, along with a girl they're naming Sophie. Mia told me about it during our last weekend together, chattering excitedly about being a big sister again, not noticing how my hands shook as I braided her hair. Aunt Emma says Sophie will be lucky to have me, she said. Not Aunt Emma anymore. Sometimes she slips and calls her mom. Each time is a knife between my ribs. Jake doesn't remember much about before. He's 8 now, and when I ask about his memories of living with me full-time, he gets this confused look like he's trying to recall a dream. Emma has effectively become his mother. She's the one who knows his teachers, his friends' names, his latest obsessions. She signs his permission slips and makes his Halloween costumes and teaches him to tie his shoes properly because I taught him wrong, apparently. Everything I did was wrong in the retelling of our history. The pregnancy announcement had come with a family dinner I wasn't invited to. My mother called me afterward, trying to share the joy, telling me how Emma glowed, how Marcus was so attentive, how they'd set up a beautiful nursery. The nursery is in what used to be my home office in the house we bought together. They bought me out in the divorce, and Emma redecorated everything. Mia mentioned that my wedding photos were gone from the hallway, replaced with pictures of their new family. My children, my husband, my sister, living in my house without any trace I'd ever existed. You could be happy for them, my mother had said during that call. It would help you heal. But there's no healing from this kind of wound. It's not just the betrayal or the divorce or even losing my children. It's the complete erasure of my life, watching someone else slip into my skin and wear it better. Emma sends me photos sometimes, pretending it's about keeping me updated on the kids. But I see the real message in every image. Look how well they're doing without you. Look how much better I am at being their mother. Look how completely I've replaced you. Last Christmas was the breaking point. It was supposed to be my year to have them, but Mia called crying on Christmas Eve, begging to stay at Dad's house because that's where Santa knows to find us, and Aunt Emma made cookies for him. Marcus got on the phone, that fake reasonable voice he uses now. Let's not make this harder on them than it needs to be. So I spent Christmas alone, drinking wine and looking at photos from Christmases past, trying to spot the signs I'd missed. Emma's hand on Marcus's shoulder. The way they stood too close. The shared glances I thought were nothing. I've tried dating, but how do you explain this situation to someone new? My ex-husband left me for my sister and my entire family knew about it. Sounds like a bad soap opera plot. The few men I've met either pity me, which is unbearable, or they assume I must have done something to deserve it. One guy actually asked if I'd let myself go after having kids. Another suggested that maybe Marcus and Emma were meant to be and I'd been keeping them apart. As if I'd been the obstacle to their true love instead of the sister and wife they'd betrayed. The legal battles continue. Marcus and Emma want to relocate to another state for his job. They want to reduce my custody further, citing my instability and inability to co-parent effectively. The instability they caused. The inability to smile and wave while they play house with my children. My lawyer says I don't have much chance of winning. The kids are thriving, she says. The courts won't disrupt that. The fact that they're thriving without me is supposed to be some kind of comfort. My father called last week to tell me Emma lost the baby. Sophie. The girl who would have been my children's half-sister and my niece, a living reminder of the betrayal. He expected me to feel sorry for them. Emma is devastated, he said. Maybe you could reach out. Reach out. To the sister who destroyed my life. To comfort her about the baby she lost with my ex-husband. The audacity of it made me laugh, the kind of laugh that sounds like crying. But I did feel something when I heard about the miscarriage. Not sympathy, not really, but a sick kind of relief that made me hate myself. Because maybe, just maybe, this loss was their perfect facade. Maybe Emma would understand a fraction of the pain of losing something you love more than yourself. Maybe Marcus would see that she's not the upgrade he thought she was. Maybe my children would need me again. But none of that happened. Instead, it bonded them closer. Shared grief, my mother told me, is powerful. As if I don't know about grief. Rachel invited me to her wedding last month, probably out of obligation. I went, because not going would have been letting them win. But they were there too, Marcus in the groom suit I'd helped him pick for our wedding, Emma in a dress that showed off her post-miscarriage weight loss. They sat at the family table. I sat with the college friends. They slow danced while I stood outside smoking cigarettes I'd quit 10 years ago. Mia caught me outside and asked why I was crying. I told her it was happy tears for Rachel. She said Emma cried at weddings too, at the beautiful love stories. The irony was suffocating. The moment that broke me completely came 2 weeks ago. Jake had a school play, The Three Little Pigs. He was the wolf. It was my weekend, but the play was on Thursday. Marcus and Emma said I could come if I sat separately, didn't make a scene. I agreed, pathetically grateful for the chance to watch my son perform. I sat in the back while they sat in the front row with my parents and Tommy. When Jake came on stage, he searched the crowd, found them, and waved. He never looked for me. After the play, I watched Emma hug him, tell him she was proud, take photos for the family album on Not In. I left before he could see me and wonder why I was there. That night, I went through old videos on my phone. Jake's first steps. Mia's first day of school. Family trips to the beach. Birthday parties. Christmas mornings. In every single one, you can hear my voice behind the camera. Encouraging, laughing, directing, loving. Say hi to mommy. Show mommy your new toy. Tell mommy what you want for dinner. Always mommy. Now I'm Liz when they talk about me to their friends. Your mom, when Marcus reminds them about custody weekends. That woman who makes them sad, probably, when they're alone with Emma. My therapist says I need to rebuild and find my own happiness and create a life independent of them. But how do you rebuild when the foundation of your entire life was a lie? How do you find happiness when it's being lived by someone else with your family? How do you create independence when everything you are is tied to people who discarded you? She says I'm stuck in victim mentality and need to take accountability for my part. My part in what? Trusting my husband? Loving my sister? Believing my family had my back? The truth is, I've become exactly what they said I was in court. Unstable. Bitter. Drinking too much. Unable to move on. The kind of mother children are better off without. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They broke me and then pointed at the pieces as evidence I was always broken. And maybe I was. Maybe that's why Marcus chose Emma. Maybe that's why my family protected her instead of me. Maybe there was something fundamentally wrong with me that everyone could see but me. I drive by the house sometimes. Our house. Their house now. The garden I planted is thriving under Emma's care. The swing set we bought together has been upgraded. There are new curtains in the windows, better ones, expensive ones. Emma's car in the driveway where mine used to be. Evidence of a life improved by my absence. Last week, I saw them all outside, Marcus teaching Jake to throw a football while Emma and Mia painted the porch chairs I'd bought at a garage sale. They looked like a catalog family. Perfect. Complete. No missing pieces. My mother still calls weekly, these painful check-ins where she updates me on their lives like I'm a distant relative instead of the daughter she raised. Emma's doing so well. Marcus got promoted. The kids are adjusting beautifully. Each update is a reminder that everyone's life improved when I was removed from it. She always ends with "You could be part of this if you just forgive." But forgiveness requires repentance, and no one seems sorry. They're all too busy living my better life without me. I've started writing letters to my children for when they're older. Trying to explain my side, though I know Emma and Marcus will have poisoned them against me by then. They'll grow up hearing about how difficult I was, how I couldn't be happy for Daddy and Aunt Emma's love, how I chose bitterness over family. The villain in their fairy tale. The evil first wife. The bitter biological mother who couldn't accept being replaced. By the time they're old enough to maybe understand, it'll be too late. The narrative will be set in stone. The final indignity came yesterday. A save-the-date card in the mail. Emma and Marcus are having a proper wedding this time. A church ceremony because Emma always dreamed of one. The church where we all went growing up. Where I was baptized and confirmed and married the first time. My mother called to warn me it was coming, to ask me to be happy for them, to suggest that maybe enough time had passed. Enough time. It's been 2 years. I've been mourning for 2 years while they've been building a life on the ashes of mine. The save-the-date photo is them with my children on the beach. Mia in a white dress, Jake in a little suit, Emma in flowing cream, Marcus in linen. They look like they've always been a family. Like I was never there at all. The date they chose? October 15th. Our anniversary. Mine and Marcus's. The day we got married 14 years ago. The day Emma sobbed at my wedding, telling everyone who'd listen that she'd never seen a love so pure, that she hoped to find what we had someday. She found it. She took it. And everyone helped her. I keep the save the date on my refrigerator now, held up by the magnet from Mia's preschool, the one that says "World's Best Mom" in her 4-year-old handwriting. It's a reminder that some betrayals don't leave visible scars but hollow you out so completely that you become a ghost haunting your own life, watching someone else live it better, love it better, deserve it more. The wedding is in 3 months, and I already know my children will be in the wedding party, that my family will attend, that photos will flood social media with hashtags like #meant-to-be and #lovewins, and I'll still be here in this apartment, looking at that save the date, finally understanding that when you lose everything to the people who were supposed to love you most, you don't get a redemption arc. You just get erased, one memory at a time, until even your children forget you were ever really there.